April the 9th, the year 2020, Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 7 and 8. For in the multitude of dreams and many words there are also diverse vanities, but fear thou God. If thou seest oppression of the poor and violent, perverting of judgment and justice in a province, if thou seest the oppression of the poor and violent perverting of judgment and justice in a province, marvel not at the matter. For he that is higher than the highest regardeth, and there be higher than they. You see, there are people that think they are the highest court in the land, that their word is the final say-so. But we serve a mighty living God that is higher than they. Matthew 11:12. And from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven suffereth violence, and the violent take it by force. It seems that the wicked like to project their plans beforehand before they actually implement their plans. I'm a very simple man. I just simply want to live in freedom and liberty, and I want that for other people too. But I'm going to project my plans for the future, so there's no confusion. I don't want anybody to be confused about my position or my plans. I can't help it that America has degenerated into a cowardly and fearful society where we're more fearful of government than we are of God Almighty and His holy word. I'm sorry that has happened, but I'm not going to go along with the masses and walk around in fear and live my life in such a restricted way that it allows the masses to tell me what things I can put in my own body. I'm talking about vaccines, right? And in my course of daily activities, I get to meet a lot of people and I get to see a lot of things. I get to stand in line at Home Depot and we have to stand 6 feet apart. They let few people in as a few people are coming out. And I don't jump to the conclusion that every man and woman I see on the street that's wearing a mask wants to wear that mask. Sometimes they have to do it to maintain their job. Sometimes they have to do it because their mother-in-law wants them to do it in order to, please their family. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why people may or may not wear a mask. So I don't jump to the conclusion that everybody wearing a mask is a cowardly or walks around in fear. But what I am saying is when it comes to the vaccine, right, you want to stick a needle in me with some kind of concoction that's been approved by some government knucklehead, I'm drawing the line. And so just as the wicked like to project their evil plans and they like to forecast it and tell us what they're going to do before they do it, I'm telling you what my plans are. So there's no confusion and there's no question about my position. You see, I'm not going to allow anybody under any circumstances to force a vaccine on me, no matter what. And I'm going to take a hard position on that. And what does that mean? It means that we have a social compact with other human beings. And that social compact is that I'll respect your freedom and your beliefs, and you go about living your life, and you let me do the same. You say what you want to say, I'll say what I want to say. And, we get along most of the time. But see, if you try to force a vaccine onto me or my family, and you think that's okay under the color of law because some judge somewhere has mandated that the rule of law, I will resist that with violent force, at any violent force at my disposal. And the social compact that we had, where we respected one another, that goes to the wayside. You understand what I'm saying? And I will no longer have any regard for your life. If you try to vaccinate me, I will consider that an act of war on my personal being. And I will not get a vaccine. And I don't care how much you respect Bill Gates. I don't care how much you think he's smart he is. See, I travel around Dallas all the time and I hear a lot of different people talking and I get exposed to a lot of different views. And I see how people are reacting. I see how when I'm standing in line, there's a construction worker behind me, and we're kind of joking about standing in line at the Home Depot. And it's almost like standing in line at a nightclub. And the guy said, who I thought he was a construction worker. I thought he was like Mr. Liberty. I just assumed, right, by looking at him. And you know what his response was? Whatever it takes to make us safe. That really sent chills up my spine. The majority of people watch the news every night. They pay attention to Sean Hannity or CNN or Fox News or whatever. I never watch the news. My wife maybe watches a bit and she fills me in. I could care less about all this stupid pandemic and all the talking heads, and I just don't care about it. It's not important to my daily activity. But what I am telling you is that if you try to force a vaccine onto me at any point in the future, whether it be a year from now or whatever, that you are the one who has gone psychotic. You are the one who has broken the social contract. You are the one who has mandated a law that totally crosses the line where I now consider that an act of war. And so I'm letting you know right now that I will never take a vaccine until the day I die. And I have stories of prisoners that were transported to a medical facility, tied in a chair. U.S. Marshals tied them up. And while they were tied to a chair, a U.S. Marshal punched a prisoner in the face until he submitted to a TB test. Now, I don't care if it's a TB test or a vaccine or whatever you want to call it. I don't know how many people out there feel like me, but I hope there's at least 7,000, because God told Elijah there's 7,000 people. There's 7,000 men who I have that have not bowed the knee to Baal. And I'm letting you know right now, I don't care how smart your scientists are. I don't care how much money Bill Gates has. I don't care how much respect you have for Donald Trump. And I don't care if it's a Republican administration or a Democrat administration, right? I don't care what is going on in the government. I don't care who's running it. I'm letting you know that you will never, ever get me to submit to a vaccine. It ain't going to happen. And I will consider that an act of war. And I will feel that our social compact that we have with one another is broken. And at that point, all bets are off. You understand what I'm saying? It's like, I will no longer regard your life because you have proven that you are psychotic and you don't regard my life and you don't regard my liberty. I'm just letting you know beforehand. I ain't taking a vaccine. I hope you don't either. But if you do, that's your business. You stand before God and tell him how you love to be injected with all this government crap. Quit listening to the TV.